S-Log, S-Log, S-Log. Everybody wants S-Log. So they buy the Sony cameras, the A6300, the A7, the Panasonic GH4, G5, LX100, various cameras to get S-Log. But this camera that I'm shooting on, the Nikon D500, doesn't have it. A couple $1,000 camera. Same thing, this is the Canon 80D, and it doesn't have it. Why? Why? Is Canon just want you to spend more money for their C100 and C300 to get, S-Log? They just want more money from you? Is that the reason why? I'm going to argue in this video that no, I don't think it's the reason why. I think Canon and Nikon have a philosophy about photography and video that you always want to maximize your saturation and you want to reduce your noise and you want the highest, good resolution. So they really come at it from like a purist point of view. The problem with S-Log is that it actually takes away from, it adds noise and it takes away color. And I think they were worried that if they put on the camera, people would use it and then they get bad results and then blame them.
Let's start from the beginning. Here I set up a spreadsheet where you can see that color, our 16 million shades of color, which match the 12 million that we can see. So keep in mind in the first place that 8-bit JPEG or 20-bit full color, however you want to look at it, is perfectly optimized to show all the colors we can see. No more, no less. You make it smaller, it looks worse. Make it bigger, you can't tell a difference. So, here you can see that's, each primary color gets a value from 1 to 256, or 0 to 255, however you want to look at it. That's an 8-bit value. And if you combine these 8-bit values, 8 plus 8 plus 8 equals 24, and you get your 24-bit full color. Again, it's what we need to see every color that we can possibly see, no more, no less. And here you can also see how if you add an equal amount of each primary color, you get you get a shade of gray. And there's no separate lightness value. I should say brightness. The brightness is dependent on the gamut of between dark and bright, and it basically it derives its sense of brightness from the actual color value. And I want to mention here that people think that they confuse compressing video or compressing data with compressing the amount of colors you can see. You can't compress the number of colors you can see. It's like a stadium, right? You can pull people in and out of the stadium and compress the amount of people you can show a ball game in a given day, but you can't compress the number of seats. The number of seats is always fixed, cannot be compressed. 24 bits, that's all you get.
Here we have the screen, and it goes from black to white. So the question is, let's just say we can make the monitor any brightness we want, or a TV any brightness that we want. How bright would we want it? Well, I don't think we'd want it so bright that our pupils would start to shrink, right? Because then if you're watching a movie and the person goes from inside to outside, all of a sudden your pupils have to contract. And then he goes into the basement, seen later, the pupils have to, expand. So you'd really want the dynamic range of your screen from dark to bright to be where your pupils will stay one size, because otherwise you get a huge headache watching any sort of video, right? So, believe it or not, that's exactly how they make these screens. They're about 5 stops of brightness, and if I use this spot meter here and I go to black, I'll get something like 5 EV, and if I go to white, I'll get 10 EV, or this bunch of sunlight hitting the screen, 11 EV. So it's about 5 to 6 stops of brightness. That's what you want. And when we're looking at a photograph like this, the difference between the black and the white is probably only 2 stops. And I want to really emphasize this. I cannot emphasize this enough. We always end up showing our photographs and video within 5 stops of dynamic range. It doesn't make a difference if outside is 10 stops or 20 stops, or your camera can record 10 stops or 12 stops. In the end, everything ends up within 5 stops. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to do a test, an experiment, so we can see for ourselves. Here's a Sony A6300, which will shoot S-Log, but we're going to shoot just no profile here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom into the screen here, put about as much of the screen as possible. And I'm going to bring down, use my zebras to get just about perfect exposure. Focus it here. And then I'm going to record it. Okay, so I'm recording it going 1/8 of a second, 2.8 at a third of a stopover. Record a little bit of that here. Okay. Now I'm going to my menu. I'm going to pick an S log. So I'm going to go picture profile 7.
Okay, so let's go open that footage. And open up in VLC. This is the footage. And what we want to do is we want to make sure the camera can actually capture all the colors that the monitor can display, because think about it, the monitor is the gold standard. It is through which everything that you like you watch it through, right? All your movies and TV or whatever. So the camera can't capture all the colors that you're going to end up watching it in, right? What good is it? So we first need to test that basic premise. So I've paused it, and in VLC you can go into preferences, you can go to video, you can set a capture directory and save in PNG. So in this way we can save a frame of video to analyze. So we go in here, we go to video, we do take snapshot, and I've already done it. Okay, so I took the snapshot. Now I'm going to go open that snapshot. Here it is. And then what we can do in FastDome, another great freeware shareware PC software, I highly recommend getting. We can open up the histogram, we can count the number of colors, and the 294,000 colors. Keep in mind, on a screen like this, the maximum would be 2 million. At any rate, elsewhere I've counted these colors in the original test image file here, and it's pretty much close to that. So it's the same thing. Yes, the camera in a standard profile can capture all the colors you can display through your monitor using a test image, and that's exactly what you want it to do. The perfect world of your monitor and TV, the camera can capture. So that's good, right? Very happy. But now let's go open the log image from the footage. And we'll go to histogram, and we're going to count the number of colors. And look, 80,000 colors. It's 30% of the color of the standard profile, right? It means that of all the colors that your monitor can display in normal video, it's only showing 30% when you run a very aggressive, S-log like this. Now, picture profile 7 is very aggressive, obviously, but even with the other ones, you're going to lose color information. But this best shows how you're losing this information. And I'll point out a few things here. Well, actually, let me go to another shot, which I think better illustrates this. So let's do. I'll show this. Okay. So here I set up the scene where I'm exposing for this. And you see how the colors go from white to black very evenly, nice midtones, like dark, less light. This box is one stop below. This box is one stop above using my spot meter. And you see how this is black? Of course it should be black because this is below those 5 stops that the camera is optimized for. Same thing for this box. This is above the 5 stops the camera is optimized for. But you look at this and everything's fantastic. And now let's go open the file where I shot log, and as you can see, this box that's one stop below, you can now see detail in it, and you can see stuff in the highlighted box. You can see my office. So the benefit of the log profile is it got all this detail in a wide dynamic range. However, it sacrificed color in the 5 stops of dynamic range that are optimized for our our viewing. It's essentially borrow from Peter in colors to pay Paul in dynamic range. And it's a huge trade-off. And I think if you're, again, a purist in photography, you don't make that trade-off. You just make sure that you expose within 5 stops of dynamic range. And if you can't, you just let the highlights blow out and you let the shadows go black. That's just the way it is. You don't want to sacrifice this color. But anyway, this is still why you can, on a log file, you can see the benefits that you do get this. However, again, there's at the expense of noise here, as you see, and loss of color here. Here's a movie lighting truck, and as you can see, there are a lot of lights. And it's a lot of equipment, and when professionals want to shoot video, they really don't look for log cameras or even really raw cameras. They look for lighting. lighting within 5 stops of dynamic range. I believe that's how professionals do it. I'm not a professional. I've worked a little bit in the field, but we'll let other people leave comments about that. Now here's the scene outside, and this really shows what I'm talking about. Normally outside, right, you're going to be beyond 5 stops of dynamic range. So what have they done? They've put, I think it's a scrim, above the characters playing chess so that it diffuses the light down to within these 5 stops of dynamic range. So that would be the top of that dynamic range. On the left, you can see a light going through a diffused material, and that's probably just to fill in the shadows. Again, so the shadows fit within the 5 stops of dynamic range. Professionals, when they can, they get the lighting right. You never really want to shoot beyond 5 stops of dynamic range because the camera actually isn't even good at it. You get a lot of noise, as you saw before. So I think what I would say is that really the priorities that you have is you first you try and make sure your scene is lit within 5 stops of dynamic range, and you shoot. If you absolutely can't get it within 5 stops of dynamic range, you shoot raw. And then in post, you can try and bring in some of those details while maintaining the color in the mid-range, so to speak. If you can't shoot raw, and you absolutely must have detail further out of the dynamic range that we naturally see in, then yeah, you'd use S-Log, but only I think as a last resort. So hopefully this video has helped you, I think, understand why just get a good image with your camera. Why Canon is not crazy, why Nikon's not crazy for not putting in S-Log. It has its place, but it just huge trade-offs. Thank you for watching. I hope you've gotten something out of it.